Hi guys, this is Lalana. Thanks for tuning into the Sovereign Path. So today we're going to talk about, kind of one of those nitty-gritty topics. What happens when you no longer desire the twin flame, the divine masculine? What happens when, you're no longer desiring them and you sort of coming into that place of, why don't I feel them anymore? Or why am I not having that same sort of yearning or that same sort of pull that I used to have? And this happens as you're fully coming into inner union. And when you're fully anchored in that balanced state. And for some divine feminines, this feels like relief. But at the same time, it can also feel like, am I doing something wrong? Did I do something wrong? This feels really strange. Why don't I have that same attraction that I've had this whole time? Why don't I have that same pull that I had? And so this can kind of be a little bit alarming for some people. And so I wanted to touch on that today in this video. So when we're talking about attraction, desire, all of these sort of things, keep in mind that these are dualistic states of being, right? They're at the bottom of the vibrational, pyramid when we're talking about having the vibrational scales of the 1 to 3rd dimension, 4, 5, 6 dimension, and higher. So desire, anger, frustration, jealousy, envy, all of these sort of things, they're at a very low vibratory state. So these energies are vibrating very slowly. These are fear-based energies, and these are energies that we have come to experience in the 3rd dimensional reality. They're not good or bad, right or wrong, they just are. But as you are going through the ascension process, you are shedding those layers of lower density energies. This is what the Kundalini rising, this is what the Kundalini purpose is bringing all of these lower density energies, basically flushing them out, transmuting them, bringing them up to the surface. These are the triggers, that we're seeing, that we're dealing with, that we're transmuting all the time. And so as these are coming out and your vibration is rising out of that lower density 3rd dimension, and you're coming back into the higher vibratory states of unconditional love, joy, peace, oneness, all of these things that vibrate at the 5th dimensional frequency and higher, right? These are unity states. These are states of union, states of harmony, states of oneness. When we are coming into inner union, this is the vibratory state that we are rising into, right? This is what's happening. And so when we're in a place of union within, right? We're in inner union, we are in oneness, we are in interconnectivity, we're in a peaceful state within, wholeness, all of these wonderful things, then these lower vibratory states that we have been experiencing start to fade out, right? They just don't have the same vibratory resonance that they had because you're not vibrating in the 3rd dimensional frequency anymore, right? You're still having a physical experience, but your vibration has shifted. This is the purpose of awakening. This is the purpose of ascension, right? This is why I say things like, it's not just about coming into balance enough so that you can magnetize your twin flame back in physically and have a physical interaction with them. You can do that, but that is only a very small step on part of your ascension, right? You're actually awakening. You're actually having a spiritual awakening. So it doesn't end at, let me just come into balance enough so that I can have a physical interaction with my twin, but I'm still having a 3rd dimensional interaction with everything else. I hear this a lot, right? Can you do that? Sure, you can do that. Is that the purpose of a spiritual awakening or ascension? No, it isn't. And if you're actually on this path and you're a real twin flame, then that means you are going through a spiritual awakening, which means you are going to be shifting out of the 3rd dimensional reality of frequency. That's just what it is, because this is based in a fear-based energy. The whole 3D is based in fear-based energy. In order to come into true lasting union with the twin, within and without, we have to leave the fear-based energy behind. We can't bring it with us. It doesn't transmute, right? These things don't interact together. One is this experience in this paradigm. The other one is this experience in this paradigm. The awakening is bringing you into a higher vibratory state of a fifth dimensional frequency, which is based on oneness and light and love and all of these higher vibratory frequencies, right? This is what's happening. And so when you're in this state, when you're actually in inner union and when you're in true balance within, then you're not interacting in those third dimensional frequencies anymore. They're not having resonance with you anymore. They are not in alignment with you anymore. So these, like, the fear, the anger, the desire, all of these things, you remember that, right? You may have a little trigger of that from time to time, but they're not pulling you. They're not holding you. You're not, it's just like, it's kind of like you have like an awareness that that was a past version of you, that was a past timeline of you, right? But it's not having any resonance anymore, right? As you continue to ascend, this is what naturally happens. This is why I say that once you are in inner union, you are having a physical experience at a fifth dimensional frequency. You are no longer having that same third dimensional frequency that you used to have, or interaction that you used to have. You are interacting with others who are still having that reality, but you are no longer having that reality. You can interact with that reality, but it doesn't have the same resonance or alignment with you anymore, right? I hope that makes sense. This is what we're talking about when we're saying the 3D and the 5D split, right? Old earth and new earth. This is what we're saying when people who are ascending into a fifth dimensional frequency. It doesn't mean that now you're off the planet and you're somewhere else. You're still here having a physical experience, but your vibration is at a fifth dimensional frequency. So just want to say that real quick. So once you're there, which is the whole purpose of this ascension, is to continue to expand as a soul, expand your consciousness into the higher vibrational states that are you, then you're not running desire anymore. Why? Because desire is a dualistic state, right? Desire is coming from a low vibratory, fear-based energy, and you're no longer running that fear-based energy once you have come into full-blown inner union and balance with self. This is why we hear, I'm not desiring the twin anymore, or we hear, you shouldn't be desiring the twin. And once you're not desiring the twin, then you'll know that you have come into inner union. It's also why we hear things that are saying like, I don't really care what they do or what they're doing or what path they're walking. It doesn't mean that you don't care. It means that you're no longer in that resonance that is saying they are separate from me and I need to pay attention to what they're doing, or I need to be concerned about this or that or the other. You have basically merged back into oneness, right? Oneness doesn't have an opposite. Love, unconditional love, the true vibration of unconditional love and frequency of it doesn't have an opposite, right? So it's not running at a dualistic state. It's running in non-duality. So when you come into inner union and you come back into that state of oneness and that higher vibration, the desire that you once had when you were running those 3D programs is not going to be a part of your reality anymore. It doesn't mean that you don't feel things. It doesn't mean, as I've said before, that suddenly everything is just like flatlined and like boring and neutral and this sucks. And it means that you are now in a state of peace. You're in a state of oneness. You're in a state of joy. You're in a state of higher vibration, which feels amazing, right? It feels light. I've said this in so many videos. It feels free. It just feels amazing, but it's not an emotion. And that's where we get things confused. And again, when I talk about these sort of things, it's just going to be like at some point, it's going to snap and you're going to be like, oh, I got it. I got it. You're just going to know. But until you get to that point, it's going to be like, I don't really know what you're talking about, or that just doesn't make any sense to me, or that sounds crazy. How would I ever just not desire them? It's because at that point, you're still moving from the mind and from fear-based energy. And at that point, we're still really afraid that we're going to lose them, right? And that they're separate from us and that they're not our same consciousness and all of those sort of things. Just be aware that that is a completely, utterly normal and crucial, really, part of this path, right? This is a part of shedding those layers and coming back into the truth that is you as a soul, as pure source consciousness. But I really wanted to hit on that today because I know that it gets, the mind and the ego and the emotional body for sure doesn't want to hear something that's saying like, what do you mean? I'm just not going to like be attracted to them. I'm not going to like want them anymore. I'm not going to like desire them. Like that just doesn't make any sense. That's what inner union is. Well, I don't want that. But until you get into that place, have the awareness that it's your mind and your ego and your programming that are still wanting that chase energy, right? It's that chasing energy, and it's that addictive energy that is wanting you to want them, right? That's the thing. It's that dualistic energy that is like pushing you in the direction of saying, as soon as I attain it, as soon as I have it, they're going to make me feel better, but I feel so much better when I'm with them. But, it's all about them. And so it's the them again, right? So we're separating and we're separating and we're separating the twin from us, right? The thing is that the twin is always you. You're not separate from your twin. And so when you are in self-love, and I did another video on this a few weeks ago, when you are in self-love and you are fully and completely loving yourself, you're whole, you're complete within, you don't need anything without, you're not looking for the twin, you're not, you're just good. You're just good. You get into inner union, I promise you guys, you are just freaking good. I can't even explain what that is, right? That's when you attract your same consciousness in physical form back into your life, right? And since this is your embodiment now, then that's just what it is. It just is love, right? It's the frequency of love. It's the unconditionality of love. And so you and your twin being one consciousness, you are the same energy. So if you are unconditional love and joy and peace, then that is also what you are with the twin, because the twin is you. Does that make sense? And so when you're in a place of like, I want them and I desire them and I can't wait to be with them and then it's saying like, I don't want to really be with me because I need to be with them so that they can make me feel good. Again, from the outside in, when this whole journey is from the inside out. And so when I am feeling good and whole and complete, then my interaction with my same consciousness that is over there physically looking separate from me, I understand is not separate from me, right? Because when I'm in union, then we're in union, right? This is how this whole thing flips itself on its head. This is how you can like kind of play a game if you want, have experiments if you want when it comes to sort of stuff like this. Start paying attention to yourself. Start pulling it back, right? Pull your energy back, pay attention to yourself. Love yourself fully, completely, all aspects of you. Do everything that you love and watch how the interaction changes with the physical aspect of self. Watch, right? This is not a normal relationship dynamic that you are having with a soulmate or a karmic or a non-soul family member. And all of those other things, I say this in Are You Still Playing the 3D Game video that I made like several months ago. All those 3D games that we have been playing in regard to getting somebody's attention, dressing up or whatever, all that kind of stuff that we used to do with all those other partnerships is never ever going to work with the twin. And so we're like so used to running these certain 3D paradigms and relationships that having a 5D union with self, with your same consciousness, which is what your twin is, sounds like a completely foreign concept, right? And until you really like surrender to this path and continue to ascend and go through it and awaken and all of those things, Your mind is going to continually tell you that this is crazyville and it just doesn't make any sense and blah, 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 blah. But it makes complete sense once you surrender to this and once you start to understand and learn not only that you are an energetic being, always eternal, infinite, can never be destroyed. Energy only changes itself, right? It can never be damped down. And you start to understand how energy works, then you will see that this thing actually makes total sense, right? It's just that we haven't been programmed to think this way. We have been programmed in the experience that we've been having to have all of this duality, and that's fine. That's part of our soul growth, right? But when you get on board with what's actually going on energetically and that you are energy, you are that, then you're going to see how this thing starts to play out. And when you release the idea that you have to like stay in this old paradigm and you surrender to the spiritual awakening that the twin has elicited and activated, the whole reason that they have come into your life, because you incarnated them with you to do this thing, then all of this stuff is going to start to slowly make more sense, right? It's going to start to slowly just move. It's going to start to just flow. It's just going to start to like gel, for lack of better words of saying that. And so, yes, when you stop having that desire, then the separation is breaking down, right? When you stop having that desire, when you stop having that concern, when you stop having that yearning, when you stop wondering and looking and searching, and you start just feeling just like, I am just good. I'm good. This is just awesome. Like, I just feel great within me and nothing's really throwing me off. I'm solid and I'm complete and I'm whole and I don't need anything else. That is when you know that you have collapsed the duality and you have neutralized the polarity, right? These are game changer feelings, right? That you're going to have, they're energies really, that you're going to notice. There are marketed shifts that you are going to notice that tell you that you have come into union with self, right? Coming into union with self means I'm not desiring anything else outside of me. I'm not desiring anything else. I am just completely full and whole. So what happens when I feel completely full and whole? I start attracting that back in from my same consciousness, because my consciousness, which is my energy, follows my energy because it's one energy, right? It's melding. So desire is a separation consciousness, right? Just like anger, frustration, annoyance, envy, all of those things. Those are all separation consciousness moving from fear-based energy. They're all having that up and down, high and low, back and forth, on and off sort of thing, right? So when you collapse that, yes, you're not going to be feeling those same emotions that you were feeling during this path for your twin, which means you are coming back into oneness with self, which means you have collapsed the duality and that separation that you have been projecting outward, thinking that you and your twin were not the same consciousness. That's all being neutralized, and you're coming back into oneness within. And when you're in oneness within, yeah, it'll feel amazing. So don't be thinking like, oh God, it's just going to be like really boring now when I'm with my twin. No, now you're at the fifth dimensional frequency, right? You're vibrating in a completely different place. And so that's very difficult to put into words, because it is an actual energy. It's a vibration that you are going to feel and that you're going to embody. It's a different, like, interacting experience with the physical realm, basically, for lack of a better way to say that. So I hope that makes sense. I hope that brings you guys some clarity. I think I kind of like jumped all over the place with that, but hopefully that makes sense. I know I keep telling you guys that my course is going to be out soon. It's completely finished. I'm just not the most technical person on earth, so I'm still working on some of the technical aspects of it, but I promise it will be out very, very soon, hopefully within the next several days. So I hope that helps. You guys have an awesome day.